Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going in Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to, not just right here at YouTube, also wherever audio podcasts can be found. Once again, this is like 4 days in a row, Steve's going to be editing this thing. Am I still, can you guys hear me now? Hopefully, can you hear me?
Can Steve be heard?
Can I be heard? We had a blood and guts last night. Let's see here.
Yeah, blood and guts last night. Exciting, thrilling match. The violence you'd expect from a blood and guts match, plus some story advancement. Perhaps more importantly, we're advancing some stories here. Before we get into that, though, we got some news to talk. Is all audio good? Yes, confirmed.
Everybody's saying we're good to go.
Great.
Chat wins again.
Thanks, chat. We got some news first, though, so let's get this news talked about out of the way. We can talk about AEW, specifically blood and guts. First, yesterday, I believe it was, we were talking about a report from Russell Purist that CM Punk is looking to renegotiate his WWE deal in an effort to stay with the company forever.
For life.
For life. So, Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer talked about Punk's contract status, I believe in the latest Wrestling Observer radio. And this is what he had to say. This transcript come to you from Wrestling Inc. Quote, "It's really overblown. When CM Punk came in, they had a short-term deal which is expiring now." It's interesting. Now there are rollovers. There are rollovers in the deal, so it's not like it's a hurry that they have to sign them because the deal does go longer. Well, which one is it?
Wait.
Is it expiring now or does it go longer?
December, January, February, March, April.
It was end of November, so it'd be 8 months, an 8-month deal. Who signs an 8-month contract?
Leo Rush used to sign those crazy, like 236 and a half day contracts. Maybe CM Punk is like, Leo Rush, you're onto something there, buddy.
Maybe. Anyways. But they knew all along that right around now would be when they would have to renegotiate a deal. He's just hammering down the terms that everyone knew they were going to do at a certain point, which is now, just to basically get everyone back on the same page because they both know where they want to be. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt again, obviously. My feeling is that Punk-Drew McIntyre match is the biggest match on SummerSlam. So either it expires now or there's rollovers later. Anyways. WrestleVotes added today on Twitter, quote, "Regarding the recent CM Punk news, a source tells me the company is extremely happy with Punk's attitude, commitment, drawing power, both TV numbers and social media views, and big merchandise sales. It's safe to say they want to continue this momentum for as long as possible, but PW Insider offered a potential rumor killer on the news that Punk signed a short-term deal. They're saying this, quote, "Numerous WWE sources, including one very high up internally, have confirmed PW Insider that Punk WWE signed a 3-year deal the night he returned to Chicago at Survivor Series 2023. The deal could carry him through November 2026, not counting any time tacked on when he was out rehabbing his Royal Rumble injury. And he claims that the initial deal is coming up where they signed a short-term deal and knew they would be discussing a new deal at this point is 100% incorrect."
Wow. And he claims that the initial... Okay, so who's on the same page here?
So
PW Insider and Ibu from Wrestle Purist seem to be on the same page, right?
Yeah, because no point did Ibu say anything about a short-term deal.
Okay.
Just that Punk was looking to renegotiate.
WrestleVotes here is just playing Captain Obvious.
Yes.
WWE is really happy with CM Punk. Well, yeah, of course they're going to be. So that's like, I could tweet that. Meltzer seems to be a little bit on the burnt side about like, well, hold on, I'm the Wrestling Observer. I'm supposed to be saying this stuff. And so he's got his own take on things. So it seems like this is
something else from PW Insider. It says the two sides are currently discussing a new contract. We were told that WWE are the ones who approached Punk about working out a new deal.
Okay. All right. Well, that's not contradicting anything necessarily.
No, because so Ibu just said that Punk wants a longer deal because he wants to stay in WWE long term, for life.
Yeah.
So that doesn't contradict anything that PW Insider here says.
Right.
The conflicting reports is that Meltzer says Punk short term deal could be expiring now, but there's rollover, so it actually goes longer.
Yeah.
Whereas PW Insider is saying, no short-term deal, nothing about rollovers, 3-year deal. WB is approaching Phil about a larger, potentially longer contract.
Okay. Well, you know what? The idea
So Dave, in
is
this instance, seems to have the information that is the outlier.
okay. All right. Well, you know what? I'm sure none of us will ever get the real scoop here because it's such a small thing. I mean, look, dude, this could be maybe I'm just throwing this out there. Maybe it's a situation where it's like there's some sort of incentives and out clauses and options where, you know, it's guaranteed for a very short period of time, 8 months and 13 days or some shit like that. And but at the same time, you know, there's options for additional time, but they're renegotiating for a much longer period of time. In any event, it seems like the bottom line that we can gather from this is both sides are happy with the relationship. Everybody's playing good. CM Punk, big business, big deal. He's happy. Everybody else is happy because he's happy. Right?
Well, not necessarily.
Whoa. Oh, here we go.
You're inferring that the mood of CM Punk dictates the mood of everybody else. That's the inference there.
Right, yeah.
And that's not the case.
Oh,
Punk could
okay.
be happy. I could be unhappy. You could be unhappy.
Why?
Anybody on
I'm
this planet.
happy. Why are you unhappy? Look, I got the real world's championship over here. That's how much of a CM Punk fan I am.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm happy if he's happy, Larson. I can confirm
that's all it takes.
that.
That's all it takes. If Phil's happy, you're happy. But if
I
Phil
don't
is
know.
sad, are you sad?
Oh yeah.
If Phil is angry, are you angry?
Absolutely, 1,000%.
Wow.
You know, Kotra is aligned, absolutely, man.
Wow,
But,
that's
you know,
interesting.
Some of I hear some of the Punk haters out there might think it's not a 1-to-1 deal, Larson.
Well, it's not. It doesn't work. Human emotion just doesn't work that way, Steve. Let's talk about this.
Oh man.
Bryan Danielson, we know his contract's up at some point. He tells us the exact date. So there was an interview on Dynamite between himself, Renee Paquette, and AEW upload the extended cut of that interview to YouTube. And in that extended cut, Danielson revealed that his AEW contract actually expires before All In.
Ooh.
Of course, All In happens August 25th. This is what Danielson had to say. Quote, August 1st. These transcripts come different Wrestling Observer. Quote, August 1st, actually, next Thursday, my wrestling contract is up, which also happens to be my son's 4th birthday. Tony Khan talked about this in an interview, so I feel comfortable talking about it. I'm not MJFing this and being like, trying to use my contract being up and being like, oh, I'm going to go to get all the money. Somebody give me all the money. Yeah, my contract is up August 1st. You know, when I signed this contract, me and Bree, we talked about how this would be the last wrestling contract I was going to sign. Part of me is wondering what is life like after this. You know, part of me is excited about it. But even though Wembley is after this, I still have to focus on that. That's got to be kind of my focus. So yeah, it's a wild time. It's a wild time. So he's clear to say it's his wrestling contract. Now we know he is involved in the creative side of things at AEW. Maybe he has a separate contract for that because he's clear wrestling contract. He says it twice.
Okay, all right. Yeah, he's probably got some sort of consultant deal. I think Punk had multiple contracts at the time.
I think
with
so.
AEW.
Tony Khan said something in a recent interview that he hopes that Bryan Danielson sticks around AEW for a very long time after his full-time wrestling career is over. So, I mean, it could be related to the whether Danielson has a consultant contract or is part of the creative team officially in that capacity. Who knows? But it's interesting that his contract's up August 1st, and yet I guess it's just a per appearance deal after that. And who knows, how often he's going to show up after Wembley. I'm assuming he loses to Swerve.
Mm-hmm.
How often he's going to show up and actually wrestle?
Do you think
a handful of times a year?
Like, kind of having tracked his career and listened to a lot of interviews, do you think that he seems like the kind of guy who can stay away very long from wrestling?
He loves wrestling a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He loves it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I have to take him at his word in this instance.
He does love to lie. He learned that from Cody.
Yes, he did. He did mention that. And it's not a situation. He's made this clear. This is just the end of his full-time in-ring career. He's not saying he's not going to wrestle anymore. I think he said he wants to wrestle into his 70s if he can. So if he can continue doing 2 or 3 matches a year and be on TV however long it takes to build to those matches, that might be enough to satisfy that aspect of things for him, where I still get to scratch the wrestling itch without putting my body through it on a relatively full-time basis.
I would be surprised if we saw him as little as for 2 matches a year. I mean, the guy is on record as saying, and granted, I know he likes to lie, but he's on record as saying that ideally for him, he wrestles 10 times a month. Now, I don't expect that out of him. I don't expect him to be on Dynamite every week, but I'd actually
wrestle 10 times a month now.
Yeah, I know. I'd be surprised if we saw a significant decrease in Bryan Danielson's presence in AEW. I really would be. I think there might be an element of, hey, you know what? Financially, I'm doing fine. I can see my family whenever I want.
I just had an idea, Steve.
What's your idea?
What did we see on Dynamite last night? We saw Christopher Daniels laid out by the Elite.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
okay.
he's like, I don't want to be essentially general manager of Dynamite anymore. Danielson loses it All In. He's the new authority figure on Dynamite.
I think that would last a couple weeks until he realized he just wants to be out there wrestling, you know, and maybe do both for the sake of the story, because he was an awesome GM in SmackDown.
He was.
But yeah, I'd be really kind of surprised. I think there's probably, and obviously I'm not him, but like there's probably an element of, hey, you know what, I'm free to do what I want, which might include, if he's out of his wrestling, although he's been able to kind of do whatever he wants to do, barring going back to WWE. Like he can wrestle where he wants to. That's not, it's not, there's nothing saying he can't do that, even if he's in AEW. But yeah, I don't know. If it were my guess in terms of how many wrestling matches we saw from him from August of 2024, or let's say September of 2024, when his Wembley appearance is done with. Mm-hmm. From September of 2024 to September of 2025, I'd put it above 6. In terms of matches wrestled, I'd put it above 6.
It's possible.
And maybe even significantly more than that. I think the guy probably is having, he always looks like he's having a great time. Now, Patrick Cheeseman here says, is that why Jeff Jarrett appeared? Brian's going to hold up Tony Khan for $300,000. That's what Vince McMahon had owed Jeff Jarrett, and he was just making sure he got his. I defend Jeff Jarrett on that.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. If Jeff Jarrett's owed money, then he has every right to go and try to get that money.
Mm-hmm. I think it was the situation where he was like, I'm out the door. There's nothing keeping you from. And so they did a thing where he got paid from the gate of that particular pay-per-view. Yeah, it was weird. I saw the story on his podcast. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Jay Smooth. Yes, my goal this weekend is to make sure that all mailers are mailed out for everybody's Patreon stuff. Thank you for the super chat. You didn't have to do that. He says, I still haven't received my big blue hat. You and Master Kira are owed big blue hats. They are right here. They're ready to go. I'm going to get them out in the mail. And also all the patrons at the $20 and $50 mark are going to get their stuff as well. That is high priority on my agenda this week.
There we go.
So yeah,
it'll get done.
It'll get done. Anyways, before we get on with our blood and guts, with our gory self-mutilation review, Larson, let's go ahead and pay some bills.
Let's do it. This episode of Going in Raw is sponsored by BetterHelp. Steve, it's pretty easy. You pick up your phone, you start scrolling, and I get it. It's just easy to start feeling maybe a little bit envious when you're doing that, scrolling on your phone through social media and see people posting about how they seemingly have it all. But the reality is they probably don't. But there's a saying, and I've been repeating it the last couple of weeks. I know you're familiar with it at this point. Comparison is the thief of joy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard that. You keep on talking about that.
Well, it's pertinent to the conversation we're having here. And if you're looking to focus on what you want rather than what other people have, therapy can help. If you're looking to start therapy, give BetterHelp a try.
BetterHelp is completely online and designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited for your schedule. All you got to do to get started is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. Then you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge.
Therapy helped me get back on track when I was dealing with severe anxiety in my mid-20s, allowing me to learn the skills I needed to better cope with my anxiety and set me on the course to living a better life and hopefully becoming a better Larson. So stop comparing and start focusing with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/raw today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw.
So yeah, man, blood and guts. A lot happened on the episode last night. Now that we're really going,
I felt like a lot happened during the
Wembley.
blood and guts match itself. In terms of, I mean, obviously there was the crazy spots. We expected that, but in terms of creative moments that help build character or advance story,
I thought everybody had some, for the most part. All the people that needed something to do had something to do. We had Hangman and Okada, who we're thinking might be the Wembley situation.
yeah.
They had, obvious beef. I like how they're approaching that. Hangman waiting until Swerve came out to come out, robbing his team of the advantage, and then being so interested in attacking Swerve that Matt Jackson had to say, dude, we suspended you already. You're going to be fired if you don't get in this cage. I actually really appreciated the usage of Matt Jackson as EVP in this. Screw it, just close the damn door. When Swerve is still on the outside, we're gonna get this thing started. I'm the EVP, and then accepting the match on behalf of Jack Perry for the TNT title when Darby was threatening to light him on fire, and Jack Perry did not care. He spat at him instead.
Yeah.
So I thought there were a bunch of moments. Not only, I personally think this is probably my favorite blood and guts match.
I think so too.
If you take out the chair shot to the head, I thought that was the one moment where I was like, we'll talk about that in a second. We'll get into that. But otherwise, I thought it was, because there was a lot of story there. There was like a point to it. I know there was criticism in advance of like, oh, what are they really fighting for? The soul of AEW or whatever. And that's fine. I mean, it's a freaking blood and guts match. I don't think there had to be anything over the top on the line, literally on the line, but they ended up with, like Hangman had something on the line, his own quest for vengeance.
Yeah.
Darby
versus
Allin,
his career. Yeah.
Darby Allin wanted something out of this match. So they all kind of got, there was the people
Stakes.
that kind of,
There were stakes.
Yeah, there were stakes involved for a great deal of the people. And I thought everybody played their roles really, really well. I thought they treated Swerve like kind of a big deal in this match. And that I really loved.
Yeah. After getting handcuffed to the cage and getting beat up by Paige, and then Matt Jackson says, Paige, get in the ring or we're going to fire you because we had a deal.
Mm-hmm.
And once Swerve got back in there, he was booked like the most dominant person in that match. And
He's
that
the world
bit
champion. He should.
As he should be, I know. Yeah. That bit where everybody in the Elite had staple guns.
Yeah.
And everybody starts shooting staples at him and he gets up laughing. And then starts stapling. It was like a scene from an action movie. It wasn't like a wrestling match, and it down to the little character bit where Okada is acting like he's about to hit him with a rainmaker, instead flips him off, and Swerve hits him with a staple gun in his hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just like that moment makes Swerve look like a superhero.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And it's great that they're booking him like that, where he is, without a doubt, the top wrestler in the company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's great. Then shortly after that, Hangman's looking to hit Swerve with the buckshot. Swerve gets out of the way. Hangman drops Okada with it. Swerve and Paige end up leaving the cage, brawling up the ramp, tumbling off the stage through a table. So they're written out for the rest of the match.
They made such a big deal about their encounter as well.
Yes.
And damn it, that's what you need.
Swerve got in the ring after he got freed from the handcuffs. And Billy Gunn and Jeff Jarrett came down to help him get out of the cuffs. And they ripped a hole in the cage because the door was locked for him to get through. And once he gets in, he takes out every member of the Elite, save for Hangman. And then we have that stare down because Hangman's in the other ring just watching what's happening. Mm-hmm, they slowly walk towards each other, meet in the area where the rings meet, and start fighting.
Yeah, and the crowd
was super into it.
The attendance was up apparently versus last year in the same venue. The blood and guts aspect might have juiced it up a little bit. I don't know. But, regardless, that's some good news for AEW. And it kind of goes to show, man, you got to give the people something to show up for. And when you have these terrific stories and these terrific feuds off these really well-established characters who have grown, especially in the case of Hangman Page, you could also make the case for Swerve, but characters who have evolved and their history is such that people just want to see them interact, and you hold it back and you hold it back, and then you have this big thing and they finally do. That's what people will pay money to go see. That's what people will tune in to see. And AEW needs a lot more of that. But I feel like they're kind of on the right path with a bunch of their different stories. Dude, they have set up some really interesting characters, and even Jack Perry's in there. I mean, dude, I love the fact that he was, he basically in the Jesus Christ pose. Yeah. And he gets blasted with a chair, and then Darby dumps a bunch of gasoline on him, and he's like, I'm going to do this. And Jack Perry's like, screw you. Jack Perry is just, he doesn't give a shit anymore. And you got to love that about his character. And it comes off, it's a really good role for him.
It does. Yeah. It comes off as pretty genuine. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, there was a lot to like about this. I feel like there were some, members of the teams that kind of were a little bit background, like, the Acclaimed. That Bowens had that terrific spot through the tables.
With the scissors, too. He came out with the scissors and started jamming people in the head with it. That was
Caster cool. Had the thumbtacks in the mouth spot. And so, not to take anything away from them, it does give them... It does it seem like they're going to be going triple threat at Wembley, maybe? Because I know FTR's out there, and they want a piece of that. You don't see it for FTR?
I don't know. I guess it's possible. Of course, the Acclaimed, they're number one contenders for the tag titles, so you'd think it would be a one-on-one deal unless Tony Khan decided to throw FTR in there to kind of spice the match up a little bit. It wouldn't be the first time that someone was number one contenders for a match and then didn't get the match at the next pay-per-view, like Pac, who apparently is number one contender for the international, now American title. Has to wait till after All In, apparently, to get his title shot. When it seemed like after he won that four-way match, become number one contender, the match was going to happen at All In.
So I'll defend us to no end on this one, because somebody in our comments, evidently somebody a bit smarter than us, was like, guys, you're making too much of this. It's going to be the rematch at Wembley. And I was like, oh, wow, I thought Ospreay would just sort of have to deal with now not being champion. And because Pac won the goddamn match where they said you're number one contender. And so that's where I was coming from. And I know that's where you were coming from as well. And so we're like, well, what the hell is he going to do at Wembley? We figured Ricochet or something, but no, it's going to be now, I guess, for the American Championship, which will revert to the International Championship once
Will Ospreay wins it back at All In. Quick aside here. AEW, I feel like in a lot of respects, creatively, in terms of handling their stories, has improved greatly. One thing they need to kind of stop doing is having this is example with the Pac here, and also they had the Royal Rampage that airs this Friday. I know spoilers on who wins it, but they got to stop having these number one contender type matches before a pay-per-view where those matches are set.
Yeah.
It's an issue because in the situation with Pac, it's confusing.
It is.
About when exactly he's getting his title shot. And as far as the Royal Rampage, whoever wins that might really inform viewers about who wins the main event at All In.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's if you want to add a little bit more unpredictability to the outcomes of your matches, do the Royal Rampage, Battle Royal, the Rampage after All In.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It seems like in terms of streamlined booking, in terms of focusing all your efforts on building up your pay-per-view matches, do that and then move on to the next thing,
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It sometimes that's been one of AEW's faults is they really don't make things, they muddy things up sometimes a bit too much.
And I get it. They want to, gosh, I don't want to get into spoiler territory here. For example, and I hope
you've made your point. I feel like you've made your
all right
point
because there's an instance in the Team AEW promo where they're obviously teasing a match down the line.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
and if you want to tease a match down the line, that's fine. Don't set it in stone though. until it's time to do so. And so
Yeah.
if you're teasing a match and it seems like it's kind of set in stone before the pay-per-view match, all right, it tells us who's going to win the pay-per-view.
Yeah, yeah, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. Um, so let's go back to Osprey.
Yeah.
He drove for the first time apparently
Yeah.
on American roads
Yeah,
with
that was funny.
Marvez in the passenger seat. I thought that was a funny bit.
It was.
And it was to call out MJF on how he won that fantastic match last week. MJF in the ring cuts an MJF promo. At this point, when I see a transcript from an MJF promo, I'm like, ChatGPT probably could have done this.
It was long.
It was long, and it sort of hit the familiar tropes that MJF hits. But essentially, he debuts or he rechristens. Actually, he throws in the garbage the international title and replaces it with a new American Championship, which is what is called the American Championship. It's not the United States title, it's the American Championship. Alex, Queen of the Ring, on Twitter said, I can't tell you exactly why, but this thing looks like Lex Luger.
Yeah.
And I was like, you are 1,000% correct.
It's the Lex Express in title belt form, yes.
It is. It absolutely is. I think it's intentionally gaudy.
Yeah,
It's
over the top, absolutely.
It's an obnoxiously American title. And what did you think of this angle with him, saying, "Oh, this is the American title, but no, you guys don't get to cheer for it because it's not your America, it's the Long Island America that I know."
Yeah. I mean, this was brought up on social media several times after this segment that when Ospreay won the U.S. title in New Japan, he redubbed it, I believe, the
UK
United
title.
Kingdom title.
Yeah.
Yeah, United Kingdom title.
Yeah.
This is kind of the opposite side of that coin, where MJF wins a international championship. It's like, no, I'm gonna make this the American title now. So that's an interesting kind of symmetry there, leading into their match at All In. MJF segments, they typically go way too long. And it was over the top intentionally so. Him debuting the title, he's got the flag that unfurls after his promo. Instead of stars, it has MJF's head, 50 of them.
See that? I think that's good. I think that's like, that's clever. That's production. That's theatrics. I like that.
Yeah.
It's just his promos just hit the same beats over and over
and it was
again.
so. I mean, like if it was
And it was
simply
just really long. Yeah.
it was like the whole preface of him debuting the new title was just him talking trash about Ospreay and how he won the match so quickly, and it was the easiest match of his career, and so on and so forth. Experts are saying it's the most efficient win in wrestling history. By the time he gets down to debuting the new title and talking about that, it gets a bit more streamlined, a little bit. It took forever to get there. It just really did.
Yeah. The match will be really good though, and you'll get, MJF versus Osprey in Wembley, especially coming off the heels of that match they had last week, is going to be a really good match. And I think they have, with MJF, they've built that title up to where it really wasn't there before when Osprey wanted a piece of a different title, the world title. So yeah, I think the match will be really, really good. And, Osprey will be able to hoist, the American and the world title up, or not the international title.
International title.
Yeah.
He took that out of the garbage. Yeah.
He took it out of the garbage can.
Before we get to the segment by segment breakdown, let's talk about Toni Storm. She returned to TV for the first time since getting busted open by Mariah May after Mariah won the Owen tournament. Mariah easily won her match last night on Dynamite. Toni Storm's music hits. It seemed like Mariah's trying to play a trick on the crowd, but a disguised Toni Storm hits the ring and goes after. Security comes in to break them up. And Toni asked Mariah, "Are you prepared to die? Because I am."
That was a great line.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. And the level of intensity that Toni had was off the charts.
I have not seen All About Eve. I know you have. You're a big aficionado for
I've
All
never
About
seen
Eve.
it. I've read what happens in the movie, Steve.
You've
I made
only
that clear
read
last
about
time.
it.
Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder if there anything about what Toni did is reminiscent. Did whatever,
that line? There's something
line,
similar to
yeah.
that lines in the movie.
Yeah, I have no idea. I've never seen it. You're the expert on that one. But I don't know where that joke started.
I think last week when I said I hadn't seen it, I'd only read about it.
Okay.
or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was.
Yeah. But no, I thought it was a great moment. And then also we got the debut of Camille in AEW.
Yeah.
Mercedes Moné's heater.
Yep.
That's what they call when you have a big, a strong bodyguard type.
Yeah.
To get
like
the heat.
Sid with Shawn Michaels. Diesel with Shawn Michaels. Yeah.
Shawn Michaels
had a lot of heaters.
He had some legendary heaters, didn't he?
Yeah. A Hall of Fame roster of heaters.
Right, exactly.
Shawn Michaels, yeah.
She looked great. She looked like $1,000,000 hitting Britt Baker after Britt Baker beat Hikaru Shida in a match. And so, Mercedes Moné. Where do you see this going?
Brings up a question, because you got Mercedes, you got Camille.
Mm-hmm.
Mercedes told Britt last night she's not getting a shot at the TBS title.
Mm-hmm.
Britt used to have an ally, a friend, who's been off TV for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible
Wardlow's going to help her?
I was going to say Jamie Hayter.
Right. Yes, that makes a lot more sense because they're going to be in Wembley.
Yes, that they do a thing where there's a tag match challenge. Mercedes will accept that because she's like, "Oh, Britt, you got no friends. No one's going to team with you." And Britt's like, "Just you wait. All in. Jamie Hayter returns."
I hope that's the case. The reporting on what her current status is, a little bit shaky. But this would seem to indicate that, I think that's a distinct possibility. I think that's, that place would absolutely erupt. It would blow up. Yeah.
Oh, once her theme hits, her theme's amazing.
It is. It really is. Going back to the Toni Storm thing, who wins that match?
If they follow through with the storyline of All About Eve, Mariah May has to win.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Because in the end, Eve gets everything that Betty Davis's character had.
Mm-hmm.
But then the other thing that has to happen is that someone has to come to AEW to do to Mariah May what Mariah May did to Toni Storm.
It might be a little. I mean, this is also wrestling, so maybe that's a little too literal. Maybe.
I'm just putting it out there.
You are the expert on all about Eve. I don't know, man. I mean, Mariah, I always think of it this way, especially in wrestling. Whoever did the big thing, whoever did the big bad thing will have their comeuppance.
Yeah.
And, Toni has a long history there in the UK scene. She's obviously going to go in as the heavy babyface there. But then Mariah's from London, so I don't know how that shakes out. Is she going to get the face treatment there?
I don't know.
I would think not. I would think that, even though Toni's not from, the UK, she's going to get a tremendous response there.
Oh, yeah. She will. Yeah, Toni will for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into it, Steve.
Let's jump into it.
Show opened up with Alex Marvez waiting at the parking lot of the AEW hotel.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a branded hotel, AEW hotel. It's just where all the talent was staying.
Oh, my bad. I thought that they have their
chain
own
of
chain of hotels.
All elite.
That's why they don't really go outside their normal loop. They only go to the loop.
They only stay at the AEW hotels.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So they're in the parking garage, and Ospreay's rushing to his car because he needs to get to the show. And Marvez is like, "Hey, can I get a comment?" And Will says, "Well, I'll comment when I get to the arena." And he walks around, and he sees a knife stuck in one of his tires. And he's like, "Ah, gosh, darn it. I can't drive to the arena now. Marvez, do you have a car?" Marvez says, "I do." And Ospreay says, "Give me the keys." Marvez does. They run to Marvez's car, get in. Ospreay in the driver's seat, and Marvez says, "Have you ever drove in America before?" And Ospreay goes, "Nope." They go tearing out of the parking garage.
I thought that was a really good bit there.
It was good. Then MJF comes to the ring. I can't remember what college was it. There was a cheerleaders from a local college. I can't remember which one it was. Leads a cheer. MJF makes his entrance. He comes to the ring, and he calls Ospreay a coward for not hitting the Tiger Driver. He calls out. He says to Swerve, "I haven't forgotten about my world title. I'll come for you when the time is right." And he says, "The spotlight's on me, Ospreay. When the spotlight's on you, you melt." Says, I beat Osprey without breaking a sweat. Easiest match of my life. I did it quickly, efficiently. Wrestling analyst saying it's the most dominant victory of all time. A lot of crap talk about Will Ospreay. And throws some shade at Daniel Garcia as well. And then that's when he says this title, the international title, much like Daniel Garcia, like Ospreay, like all you white trash hicks, is nothing more than garbage. So MJF throws the title in a garbage can ringside and continues. Says, I deserve a title that symbolizes the best wrestler in the world and the best country in the world. Says, I'm not talking about United Kingdom. Please rise, ladies and gentlemen, for the American Championship. So he unveils the titles on a podium in the ring.
All right, so Larson, we're going to pause here really quick. I just texted you a picture of this title. Break it down for me. What do you like about it? What do you don't like it? Not DX. Nope, we're not doing the DX theme song today. So it's on an American flag strap.
Yeah, the strap has got the American flag on it, and the center of it, it's got the outline of the contiguous United States. So no Hawaii, no Alaska.
Or Alaska. You know how huge Alaska is? It's massive.
Massive. It is the largest state in the United States, Steve.
It is, but by a far shot. Like it is.
It's not even close to it.
Takes up like the entire middle section of the United States if you
humongous.
Somehow removed it and put it in there.
But no representation. No Alaska on this belt.
Right.
Alaska is not represented in this title.
This is about the 48, man. Okay.
Yeah, the lower 48. So you got that in the middle.
But factually though. There's some issues with it. There's only 4 stars in the blue corner of the flag.
There is, and 3 of the 13 stripes that are supposed to be on there.
Right. So, like, the 13 stripes represents the colonies, right?
Yes.
Which 3 colonies does this represent?
Well, obviously New York.
Correct.
I would guess neighboring states of New York, then it would be the other 3.
Okay. Like Jersey and Connecticut?
Maybe New Hampshire or
he seems to not like
Vermont,
New Jersey. So
yeah. I wouldn't suspect it'd be
Connecticut.
So I would suspect
Connecticut,
New York, maybe Rhode Island.
Rhode Island, okay, fancy.
Maybe.
Okay, all right. So yeah, it's on the strap is obviously red, white, and blue. It's the American flag,
and then the side plates. Try to see what they says. I think one of them says the only country that matters.
Oh wow, I kind of disagree with that premise. I think
I do
other
completely.
Countries that definitely matter.
I think that's what it says, but I
don't know what it says on the left.
It's hard to say. Something definitely says that matters on there.
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty gaudy.
It is. It's really over the top.
It is. Yeah, but it's not without its charm. Like I would wear this to a Walmart.
To a Walmart?
I go to Walmart. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know, I'd wear it there. Go look for some polos.
Yeah, I guess
some cheap.
Get a shopping
polos.
cart full of polos. Let me see if there's a better.
I wish that they would sell like replicas. I probably got to go to an eBay if I want to get a replica of this thing.
Yeah, you probably would. What does this one say?
Jorge says, "What would you wear it to a Costco?" I don't have a Costco membership.
I can't say what this one word is. It definitely says something country that matters, but I can't say. I think it is only country that matters. Yeah, I think that's what it says.
All right.
So, yeah, it's over the top, intentionally so, and in that respect, it works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I don't think there's any context in which I'd feel comfortable wearing it, but.
Oh wow. Compared to the current WWE United States Championship?
Oh, the U.S. title, the WWE U.S. title looks way better.
That's like one of the top titles I have.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful title.
It looks really good.
Really is.
It looks really good.
It's thick.
Yeah, it is. That main plate is thick.
It is
probably
really
hollow,
thick.
though, too. So MJF unveils the American title, sorry. Crowd starts chanting USA, and MJF says, well, I appreciate the USA chants. I got to be honest with you. When I'm talking about America, I'm not talking about Nashville. I'm talking about the real America. I'm talking about the only America that matters. I'm talking about the most magical place in the world, Long Island, New York. And he says, God bless the USA. God bless your American champ. And more importantly, God bless your American hero, MJF. So streamers fire off the American flag with MJF's face in place of the stars. Comes down from the rafters. Will Ospreay rushes to the ring. MJF leaves. And Ospreay says, Max, you can try your best to feed everyone some horse shit, but we won't be eating it. I was in that match, so allow me to tell everyone what was going through your damn mind at minute 59. You were breathing out your asshole, and you knew you couldn't beat me. So you reached into your trunks, went past your tiny little dick, and pulled out that diamond ring and cracked it over my skull. You'd rather cheated than admit that a guy like me is on your level. But Max, I am here with the best news for you because I have had a meeting with Tony Khan and Christopher Daniels, and guess what? I get my rematch on home soil at All In, me versus you for the International Championship. And then Will goes down to the ringside, gets the garbage can, pulls out the International Championship.
It's like Costanza.
Yeah, it's like a Leclerc. Yeah.
Like Costanza pulling an Eclair out of the garbage. Oh, look at his trash title.
Hunching over the garbage can to take a bite of the Eclair.
I'm about a street trash title now. Anyways, yeah. Besides the length of it, it was a decently effective promo.
It was.
After that, we had Bryce Remsburg. He's they're doing a coin toss to find out who gets the advantage there at the match beyond. But he sees the elite surrounding the fallen angel, Christopher Daniels.
Yeah, like that. Fallen Christopher Daniels.
Matt says, we got our own coin to toss. And then, of course, they win it because it's like a rigged coin.
It's double-sided.
Yeah. He says, we get the advantage for blood and guts. Where's Hangman? We had a deal. He'll be here. So then we had Chris Jericho versus Minoru Suzuki, which is like 12 minutes, just two old
chops. Yeah, they just chopped each other for about 10 minutes until Jericho started doing kicks and stuff. But Jericho's chest was just pouring blood.
Yeah, it was pretty gross.
It was pretty nasty.
Anyways, Jericho gets the win here.
It was a relatively fun match, and they're down the floor doing stuff. So I'll give Suzuki credit for that. But yeah, anyways, Suzuki's looking for a gotch pile driver. Jericho blocks it, hits a low blow, Judas effect to get the win. And after the match, Suzuki gets to his feet. Jericho takes a swing at him. Suzuki ducks. Sleeper, gotch pile driver. Brian Keith and Big Bill come to the ring. They attack Suzuki, but Shibata's music hits. He slides in from behind them and makes the save.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. After that, we had a Willow interview. She was asked about winning the CMLL women's title. She's about to give her answer when Stokely steps in and Statlander then attacks, slams her onto some road cases, and then Stokely challenges Willow to an eliminator match for the CMLL title. If I'm the manager, though, I'd be like, hey, we challenge you for the title. And then if somebody comes back and is like, well, how about eliminator? Okay, fine, we'll take that. But don't step forward with your worst offer. Step forward with with what you want.
I agree.
You know?
The situation is that Statlander is going to win the eliminator match, and then Willow will win the title match.
No, I get that. But, come first with what you want.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree. That's like why anybody would try to, cash in on a lower title as opposed to the world title. Go for the top prize.
Yeah.
That's my attitude.
Yeah, no, I don't necessarily disagree with it. In some situations, I could see. Anyways.
After that, we got a Bryan Danielson interview. This is the truncated version, not the unabridged, extended cut. So he's talking about his neck injury, and Doc Samson apparently has told him that right now his neck is fixable, but by the time All In comes and goes, you got to make sure it stays that way, where it can be repaired as opposed to irreparable damage. So he says, I'm going out there. I'm going to go do my best to try to enjoy the moment because how awesome is wrestling at Wembley Stadium? Yeah. So it was kind of like happy to be there, Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, absolutely.
Double J, Jeff Jarrett. Ain't he great?
Ain't he great? Says, listen, Slapnuts, I heard your entire conversation.
It'd be great if he said that.
Yeah, no, this is too much earnest.
Oh, I love earnest Jeff Jarrett. Gosh darn it.
It is very you want him in your corner. Jeff Jarrett.
Comes off as super sincere. You ever saw Spring Breakers?
No, but I know he's in it.
He's in it briefly, and this is like what his role is, super sincere, and he's great.
Yeah. That's a Harmony Korine movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it a good movie?
Okay. It was whatever, but that was when that movie is what started to turn me around on Jeff Jarrett.
Wow. Is there nudity?
I don't remember.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll have to figure that out. So anyways, he says, listen up, slap nuts. I heard your entire conversation. You know better than anybody, I was crushed that I didn't win the Owen. But in hindsight, as I look back over, you overcame the odds when I didn't, slap nuts. and you were the perfect guy. You got a date with destiny. Density. I couldn't have been more proud to stand in that ring and raise your hand with the cup. And now you got Wembley in the crosshairs. You're going to be facing a champion who knows exactly what it needs to do. Dialed in and focus on that title, slap nuts. I understand you got to heal up physically, but I think you got a lot of mental healing up there to get done too. You can sit on the fence. Hell, it sounds like you've got one foot out the door, maybe even make an excuse. Bryan, if you're going to go all in, freaking go all in. A lot of people believe in you, and I'm at the very top of that list. JEFF. JERRJARRETT.
Ain't he great?
Ain't he great?
So Jarrett leaves, and Renee's like, what do you got to say about that, Bryan Danielson? He says, well, a lot of that is true. I've got some work to do. Thanks, Renee. And he gets up and leaves.
Gets out of there.
A great motivational speech from Jeff Jarrett.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It was good stuff. A couple more slap nuts would have been preferable, though.
Well, that kind of would have undercut the
Listen up, slap nuts.
the sentiment of the whole deal.
No way, man. Dude, so like this next match, Britt Baker versus Hikaru Shida, really good stuff. Like really good stuff. But I'm just going to take a second here. I don't need Excalibur just dropping a 5-paragraph Wikipedia entry on their history during the entrances. It starts to make me anxious because he's like out of breath talking about shit that I already know. That's all.
Yeah, sometimes it'd be good if commentary in AEW just let a moment breathe.
Yeah, right.
And allow Excalibur an opportunity to breathe, apparently, you know.
Just let it go. Just let it be there. Just let it be there.
Yep. But yeah, really solid match. Britt gets the win. So Britt's looking for a lockjaw. Shida escapes that, hits a kick. Falcon Arrow is looking for the katana. Britt catches it, transitions into a lockjaw, so Shida taps. So Mercedes comes to the ramp, says, Britt, that was very impressive. What a strong victory over a former champion. Now, Britt, I know you want a shot at this at All In. And what would be hotter than the CEO versus the DMD? So let's get to it. Everyone here is waiting for my answer. My answer is, no. So that's when Camille gets in the ring behind Britt, hits her with a pump kick, puts Britt in a torture rack for a while, and then torture rack bomb. Mercedes gets in the ring, stand next to Camille, and Camille raises Mercedes' hand.
After that, we had a Patriarchy promo, the new Trios champs. Christian says, Nashville, you haven't earned the right to see Christian Cage in person, so I'll be conducting my business from the bowels of the arena. We walked out on Collision, the new Trios champ. This Friday, my son Nick Wayne is going to be in the Royal Rampage, and he's going to walk out the #1 contender for the world title. Now, Nick, you've earned the right to speak for yourself, so the floor is yours. And then Nick starts talking. He says, first the Trios champions, and now soon to be #1 contender. He looks off screen, and he sees somebody. That person is giant flesh mech Kip Sabian, who's put on like 100 pounds of muscle since last I noticed him. He says, why do I keep seeing your face? What's your deal? And then Kip says, and then Nick is like, well, we're in the Royal Rampage match, and I'm going to be the one to throw you out. And by the way, no one cares that your dad is dead. Be a man and suck it up. And then Kip's like, I couldn't fucking hear a word that he said.
Yeah, I couldn't really.
So either like get the booms situated right, or Kip, talk louder.
Project. They went a quick match where Pac beat Boulder of the Iron Savages.
Did you know Pac's entrance was great?
Oh, it's always he's staring through the holes in the
it's
always that way.
Dead into the camera. It's always like that. I've noticed it before. It's great.
Yeah, it's been like that, I think, since he came back.
All right. It's so awesome.
It is. It's great. It is a pretty quick match. Pac wins pretty impressively with a brain buster. And he'll get an international/American title shot at some point.
Yeah,
probably a Grand Slam, I would guess.
Probably, yeah.
Or maybe it All Out.
I mean, he should get a match at All In.
Hold on a second.
What?
So the winner of the Royal Rampage match gets a title opportunity at Grand Slam. That's in September.
Okay.
All Out is 2 weeks after All In.
You're right.
So the weekend after Labor Day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So is there not going to be a world title defense at All Out?
Your guess is as good as mine. They going to do a swerve tag match? Can they coexist, Swerve and Darby Allin versus the Young Bucks or some shit like that?
I don't know.
I don't know. Hangman and Okada, can they coexist main event? Maybe. Hangman and Okada versus Swerve and Darby. I don't know. They got to go back to Swerve Hangman at some point.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they will. Yeah. So then we got a promo from Team AEW. Swerve says, "Nashville's whose house?" Says the spirit of AEW is on the line tonight. I asked these warriors last week if they're ready to get violent. We're going to show the elite what that's all about. All led by yours truly, the AEW World Champ. And then Darby's like, "You're my leader. You ain't leading nothing. This is about the elite and getting even with them. We're not gonna see eye to eye, Swerve. Not tonight.
I love your Darby impression.
Not any night." And Swerve's like, "You choose tonight of all nights to do this. After all this is said and done, if you want to get violent with me, I'm more than happy."
Yeah.
So Caster's like, "You want to get violent with me, sneaky Swerve, with the best wrestler on the planet? I haven't forgot what you did to us. By the way, I'll get violent with you too." He's pointing to Darby. He says, "I don't like your weird ass." Then Bowen says, "We don't care about your petty problems. This is about the Acclaim getting the AEW tag titles from the Young Bucks." So everybody, save for Mark Briscoe, starts arguing. And then Mark Briscoe steps in and says, "Take it easy now. I'm like the man who fell out the boat. I ain't in it." Says,
I gotta use that line at some point.
Says, "Tonight we're putting all that aside. Tonight we're Team AEW and the elite. I know your game plan is divide and conquer, and we can't let that go down. Tonight we stand united. Let's go."
So do you remember what the world champion did last year at All Out? We kind of.
It wasn't. It was when MJF and Adam Cole were still tag champs. They defended the tag titles, didn't they?
They did defend the Ring of Honor Tag Championship against.
I know there was a title defense last year.
Yeah, the main event was the International Championship.
Yeah,
John Moxley versus Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, I don't know. They'll probably do a tag match with the world champion.
What main events then?
John Moxley versus Orange Cassidy. No. Shit, I don't know. Will Ospreay versus Ricochet. Or I don't know. Maybe Swerve's tag match does main event. I don't know. Honestly, they should do Swerve versus Hangman again and have Swerve win again. The Hangman should just have this bloodlust for Swerve, and he always loses. And then so when he does eventually win, it's like a massive deal, you know?
Yeah.
At that point, they'll have done like a double turn, and because I think that feud can just go on for the ages, and you don't trade them back and forth. It's just Hangman can't get over this trauma.
Mm-hmm.
You could do a lot with that.
You could, absolutely. After that, we had Mariah May versus Caitlin Alexis, another short match where Mariah May dominates, hits Mayday, doesn't cover, instead puts Alexis in the corner, hits her with a hip attack, follows with a Storm Zero to get the win. So she's in the ring celebrating. Tony's music hits. And at first she's like, "Oh gosh," and then she starts laughing as the music fades. But then Tony's Storm of Disguise gets in the ring and sneers at Mariah. Mariah turns around. They start throwing hands. So refs just rush to the ring to break it up, and that's when Tony grabs the mic and says, "Are you prepared to die?"
Are you prepared to die?
Oh, it was so good.
'Cause I am. Yeah, that was cool. That was neat. And then we had our main event, Blood and Guts. Ooh. So this is just one of those matches. Just, check it out. There's all sorts of crazy shit. Let's talk about this really quick.
Sure.
So the only real controversy coming out of this, it's a fairly minor one, is towards the finish of the match, Mark Briscoe, blasts Jack Perry with the chair to the head, unprotected, because Perry's in the Jesus Christ pose,
handcuffed to the cage,
handcuffed, right? And Matt Jackson he can't do shit. Everybody's out, so he blasts him with the chair shot to the head. Made a sickening sound, and the crowd went, "Oh!" and then went kind of quiet, it seemed like an uncomfortable silence that sort of went over the crowd.
And I understand, because we know the damage that unprotected chair shots to the head can cause.
Absolutely. Now, evidently, the chair was gimmicked, which is, I guess, when they shave down, they thin it out. So it's more like I guess more akin to like when they do the same thing with like a cookie sheet, but the cookie sheet always like super bends.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I honestly, dude, I think we're in the day and age where like, I get it. It's safer if it's gimmicked. But as wrestling fans, haven't we all sort of just come to agree that even within the universe, and I know it's a silly thing, it's an incredibly silly thing, that we will accept somebody being lit on fire with like a bunch of, obviously, like when Jack Perry got lit on fire, he had, you know, he was in the ice bath and he had the fire, probably the fire retardant on, and he got on his legs and then they put it out really quick. And it's like, okay, that was a relatively professionally executed stunt. We're cool with that as wrestling fans. There's that underlying agreement between wrestling fan and promotion with mainstream promotions. Keep it so that we know people aren't really going to get fucked up. You know, it's already dangerous enough taking normal bumps.
Yeah.
This is something that we can all agree on. It's so like, it doesn't, in my opinion, for me, and I think the general idea with wrestling fans is we don't need to see this anymore, and it doesn't really add anything. It doesn't make it, even more violent. Would you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, I think at this juncture, knowing the dangers of unprotected chair shots to the head, whether the chair is gimmicked or not, it's unnecessary. Because that's the reaction you get. And I understand, like, if you want that reaction, I feel like there's other ways to get there, as opposed to potentially giving somebody a concussion.
I don't like the reaction that it gets these days is like, oh, maybe you shouldn't have done that. Like,
yeah, the reaction is you went too far. That's the reaction.
Yeah. And like there's a good you went too far reaction that you can present in a storyline way, like setting somebody on fire, where we all know, oh, they're going to put him out really quick and he's probably got all sorts of protection on. And then there's the you went too far with, we don't do that anymore. Like, we don't need that anymore.
Yeah, we don't need that.
Corey Graves put up a tweet that he subsequently deleted because it got him like the wrong reaction. A reaction I think was unwarranted, because he says this is not meant to sound judgmental or incite us versus them or question anybody's passion or talent or intentions. This is just coming from a guy whose career ended from a few too many accidental headshots. The art of this business is protecting ourselves and each other. Trust me, the gaps in memory are not worth it. I promise. I understand if wrestlers are eager to make a mark, to make a memorable moment. From my point of view, merely a fan, knowing that somebody might be risking gaps in their memory.
Well, lifelong
CTE.
Yeah, lifelong issues with memory and CTE. Yes, absolutely.
I don't need it. You know, It doesn't enhance it for me. It actually kind of takes away from me.
You know, imagine if it was a situation. Let's put this out there. I mean, prior to the chair shot, Mark Briscoe was using a kendo stick on Jack Perry. He felt that wasn't enough. Rather than getting the chair, you go get some of those staple guns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Yeah.
And start stapling Jack Perry all over the place.
Because that's fun. You know,
it's harmless, but it's not dangerous.
Right.
I mean, you don't want to do it in the neck or something like that, but otherwise,
yeah.
You know, so long as you avoid major arteries, it should be fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, do it in the chest and stuff like that. It should be fine. There's other things in that ring they could have used.
Like the Hangman Swerve death match, right? It's like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, it was too violent for me. Not for me. Like, I don't think there was really anything in that match. It's like, dude, if you get cut open and bleed, as long as it's in the right spot, like, it ain't gonna do you long-lasting harm. It'll leave you a little bit of a scar, but that's kind of.
I feel like cool. all the violence in the Swerve Hangman death match was motivated by character. It wasn't gratuitous. It wasn't violence for the sake of violence. You know.
Yeah.
It all advanced character and story beats for the match. I know people were grossed out with Hangman drinking Swerve's blood, but it was a moment that showed how far Hangman has gone.
And more to the point, though, like none of it seemed like it was legitimately gonna cause anybody long-term issues.
No.
when I saw, and one of the reasons why this Blood and Guts was probably my favorite is because, even Darby's coffin drop wasn't that far up. It was a really creative spot. It was his finish. He gave the old middle finger in advance, and then he landed and Jack Perry broke his fall. I'm like, hey, that's all right. Darby's head didn't hit anything.
Even the spot outside of the cage, no one fell off the top. I know Anthony Bowens was towards the top. Him and Nick Jackson were fighting up one of the pillars of the cage, and there was, a tower of tables, 2 tables high, that Bowens fell into. Is there a chance that could have gone horribly wrong and he could have got hurt? Absolutely. That exists in any sort of fall in that sense. But it wasn't off the top of the cage. It was a situation where it was very controlled. Nick Jackson hit his head against the pillar, and Bowens actually got a chance to look down. All right.
There's like four tables there. Yeah. Yeah. That's the kind of thing I'm like, hey, you guys are professionals. If you want to make that your moment, go have at it. I'm totally cool with that. But I mean, the thing that I haven't really liked about previous Blood and Guts is when, like the Jericho fall, I was not a big fan of that because the margin of error is really thin. Like if he had landed a foot up, and a lot of the stuff Sammy Guevara used to do, it's like, dude, I appreciate you're trying to make a moment, but it like one small error and it's a catastrophe.
Yep.
And a chair shot to the head, in my opinion, as a fan, it's like, I'm not into seeing that. It doesn't add anything to me. And in fact, it just sort of takes me out of the match and is like, why would this guy have done this?
Yeah.
So
no, I
don't know.
I agree.
That's where I'm coming from. And I understand where Corey's coming from because this
definitely.
Corey Graves' look could have propelled him a lot in the wrestling business had he not, unfortunately suffered all that. He's a terrific commentator.
Yeah.
Had a hell of a career after his wrestling was over. But yeah, it was always a bummer that he had to retire because of that stuff.
Of concussion issues. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I know we talked about it. We'll go over the finish one more time. So Briscoe's doling out J drillers to everybody in the Elite, save for Hangman, because at this point, he and Swerve, I believe, had already gone up the ramp and tumbled through the tables, so they're out of the match. Yeah. So then Mark and Darby put Matt and Jack Perry on some tables. That's when Mark hits Matt with the froggy bow, puts him to the table. Darby climbs up the cage, and he's on the not on the top of the cage, but holding on to the top underside of the top of the cage. Coffin drop puts Perry through the table, and that's when Castor gets in the ring with some handcuffs, and Mark Briscoe cuffs Jack Perry to the cage, and then Matt Jackson is handcuffed to the bottom rope on the opposite side of that one ring. So Briscoe gets a kendo stick, hits Perry with it, asks Perry if he quits. Perry says no, so he starts hitting him a couple times. So Darby takes the mic and asks Perry if he quits, and Jack says no, and Darby says, all right, let's get the party started. So that's when Mark blasts Perry over the head with a chair. Darby gets back in the ring with a Scripto lighter, which is the one detail I feel like.
Oh,
you want to make this look,
because you mentioned this to me. Go ahead.
So the Scripto lighter is, the I don't know, it's about 6-8 inches long. It's got the little thing you got to press for the fire to come out.
Yeah.
And it takes, I don't know, some sort of propane, kerosene, some sort of lighter fluid. Mm-hmm. Probably not propane, but you know what I mean, lighter fluid.
Yeah.
And you press the thing and a little flame pops up. I know they're effective. They're great for lighting candles on birthday cakes or fireworks if you don't want to light a match and get too close to the fuse.
Yeah.
I get it.
I love these things. Yeah.
Yeah, they're incredibly handy.
They're very handy.
Much handier than an actual lighter,
Yeah.
But the visual of Darby walking out with a thing of gasoline, oh shit, and a Scripto lighter, just isn't as impactful as a thing of gasoline plus a lighter, you know what I mean?
So you're saying it's a bit suburban for your taste.
Yes.
Okay. I like it.
It doesn't feel as dangerous.
So like, this is one of those little detail things. I think I'm with you on this. It didn't really stand out to me, but I understand where you're coming from. Especially, you know what? He also kind of needed the one weird thing that stood out to me in this situation was the gas can is one of them new plastic ones that looks brand new.
Yeah.
Get out the rustiest metal piece of shit that you can find from
Yeah.
like 1984.
Yeah, you feel like you get tetanus just by touching it. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
And then you get this old withered Zippo lighter.
Yes.
And here's what you do. You could actually do this on TV and it'd be pretty cool. You douse them in gas, and what do they do in the movies? Because here's the thing: the gas is water. We all know that, right?
Yeah.
So he
you
does
do the
that.
trail.
You do a trail, and you do the Zippo. And maybe if Darby's super cool, which he is, he does this. He has the lighter. He does that shit.
Yeah.
And with the Zippo, and it turns on, and he puts it down near the thing.
Or
and then he's like, I'm going to
do
do this.
Where you do the thing where, it's one is the lid on it, where you hit it against your hip.
Yeah.
It pops the lid open, and then you light it in the same motion.
Do some Zippo tricks. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Go. And he's like, oh, God, no. He's like, I'm going to do it. Let's get this
Could you
party
do that?
started.
Can you light it by snapping your fingers? Can you do that?
At one point, I could in my life. Yeah, because I had a
too.
Zippo. I could.
too.
I don't think I could do it now, though.
I might be able to take a little bit of practice. Anyways, so Darby gets back in the ring, pours gas all over Jack Perry, and says, I'm going to light your ass on fire if you don't quit. I want a match for the TNT title. Agree to it or I'm going to light your ass on fire. And Matt Jackson's pleading with Darby not to do it.
Yeah.
And so there's some back and forth. And eventually Matt relents and says, all right, you get your match. You get it at All In. And Darby says, that's great, but I want you to say I quit. And Matt says, fine, you're going too far. We quit. This is too much. You're taking this too far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jack Perry this whole time didn't quit, though. He's willing to be lit on fire.
Right. And now this sets up, I love this because it sets up a lot of different dynamics between everybody, including like Okada and the Young Bucks for not putting his beef aside with Hangman.
Yeah, because he shoved Hangman right after Hangman got in the cage. Yeah,
he did. Yeah. Jack Perry and the Bucks. Hey, I didn't actually quit. So this sets up a lot of interesting dynamics within the Elite. It furthers Hangman and Swerve. Swerve looked like $1 million.
Oh yeah.
The Acclaimed, get yet another win over the Elite.
And get some cool moments, when Bowen's got those scissors and start jamming it in people's heads. I mean, that was a good visual.
Dude, it does. They took a lot of criticism, but they have taken several acts, and they have had. There's barely any. Billy Gunn in this. He came out like you said briefly to counter the strength of Brandon Cutler, and yeah, like they've done a decent job with. Elevating certain talents that should be your featured attractions.
I know, and I appreciate that. After Swerve and Hangman, went up the cage, not the cage, up the ramp and off the stage to the tables, that it wasn't like the rest of the team of AEW was then outmatched by the Elite,
Yeah, right, yeah.
And it was still an even fight. In fact, Team AEW got the win. So,
yeah,
with Team AEW being without their captain, Swerve, they still got the victory.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it elevates, because the Elite are booked as the most, dominant group in the company, and they lost. So, yeah, it helps elevate everybody.
Yep. Let's go ahead and answer some questions before we wrap it up today. Joe, the meme maker, says... if MJF is full America Man gimmick now, what song could he have as an interlude of his own theme to get this gimmick more over? He brings up perhaps something Springsteen, America's Horse with No Name.
It's got to be Lee Greenwood's Proud to Be an American, right?
That's a bit too blue collar. Is there something more like... It's definitely not Horse with No Name.
No, it wouldn't be anything Springsteen either.
Yeah, I agree with that. So there's something like, I don't know, Hottie Toddy America?
I'm sure there is.
Hard to, yeah, I don't know. What's that? Hold on a second.
What?
Read the next question. I'm going to look something up real quick.
All right. High Plains Drifter says, which special guest can talk Larson off his CM Punk hate? I don't hate CM Punk. You're perpetuating, Steve, this narrative that I actively dislike CM Punk. That's not the case.
Whoa, buddy. I said yesterday firmly, I don't know if I see it because the
But
comments
then
have
you
said
say
it.
that, but then you ask questions, followed by, "Is that why you hate CM Punk?"
I don't think I've said those words
I'm
verbatim.
paraphrasing, but I think that's the gist of what you're getting across.
You're kind of putting words in my mouth.
I'm reading the subtext of your line of questioning is what I'm doing.
You think you're so smooth.
So
We'll
High Plains
look.
Drifter
We'll
what?
explore Larson's alleged hatred of CM Punk.
See,
Phil
that's
Brooks.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. There's no alleged. This is the narrative being
there.
presented.
It's not alleged then, so it is real. Wow. Scoops. Ibu from Wrestle Purist says Larson.
It's a
hates CM
narrative
Punk.
being put out there by you. Yes.
Comments. The
No hate.
comments. The YouTube
No hate.
comments.
No hate.
No hate.
No hate. Put this to rest right now.
Father John Misty's Board of the USA. How about that?
Interesting.
It's kind of a very mild song.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Didn't that question suggest Miley Cyrus's party in the USA?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
All right.
That could work too. Let's see here. Nick asks, what other ways could Darby Allin have threatened the EVPs to get a TNT title match? I think we talked about that a little bit, you know. How about actual TNT? Like,
there you go.
Acme TNT.
Yeah, there you go.
He puts it in Jack Perry's, and then he gets a big spool out, unspools it.
And he's got the thing. All he do is got to press the thing down. Of course, it says TNT on there. Press the thing down, it would explode.
Yeah, Bama. I rolled up to Bama's after school thing, or her school daycare thing last summer, I think it was. We rolled up, and I think they had done a play or something where there was a giant, like, sort of a cartoonishly large detonator that was sort of on the side of the school, like just sort of sitting there because like they didn't need it anymore. And I was like, Bama, they're gonna blow the school up. She was like, oh my God.
Yeah, where's Wile E. Coyote?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, he's been erased by David Zaslav, that fuck.
Alex Foster here says Narita has a push-up bar, Sho has a wrench, Kanemaru, has a whiskey bottle. If Steve and Larson join House of Torture, what ridiculous, unconventional weapons would you use? Wow. I always got to have my pen.
Oh, there you go. Poetic. I like it. That's good. What does everybody else have? Somebody has a whiskey bottle already?
Yeah, Kanemaru has a whiskey bottle. He's had that for a long time.
And what do the
Sho
others
has
have?
the wrench.
The wrench.
And Narita has a push-up bar.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy, those are so good. Those are so inventive. Darn it.
What about your mic arm there?
I mean, the mic itself is actually pretty heavy.
Very heavy. Yeah, but it's also expensive. You don't use that as a weapon.
Yeah, I don't want to use that as a weapon. You know what I would do? No, I would. I would actually lean into, like, my gimmick, of course, because I'm not actually, like, rich. But, like, I'd lug, like, a PS5 with me. Because they're so hard to get.
Yeah.
But I use mine for, as a weapon.
Not as a gaming system.
Right. Exactly.
This is an interesting question, but this is something that crossed my mind too. Waterboy Wins here says, when wrestlers go into the crowd and throw a trash can, do you think someone from the company would clean up the spilled trash, or do you think the venue staff is stuck doing it? Probably the venue staff.
Yeah, probably. Fear and Loathing says, if you walk out of your house and see Chris Jericho running away from Taz, would you trip, shove, or do you do anything to slow Jericho down, or just stay out of the way entirely? I'm like the man out of the boat. I'm not in it.
But how satisfying would it be to hit Jericho with the Judas effect, Steve?
I would miss. My Judas effect,
I
I don't think I'd be that coordinated.
Yeah, probably not.
I'd have to get some practice in.
I'd look more like Hook doing it than Jericho doing
it. Yeah, exactly. Odd Breakfast says, the dichotomy of wrestling is funny sometimes. Okada didn't really look comfortable in the hardcore match type, while Briscoe didn't look comfortable until he had a face full of blood. Take any wrestler, put them in the exact opposite of what they normally do in the ring. I got this. You take the Miz and you put him in one of those awful XPW death matches.
There you go.
A syringe through his, cheek or whatever.
Yeah. God, I can't believe they do that stuff. It's too much.
It is way too much.
It's way too much. Is there, or like Nick Gage having to wrestle a technical match with Zack Sabre Jr.?
Oh, yeah. Catches, like a catch match. Yeah. There you go. That's good.
Nikyle here says if AEW were allowed to, could they put the TNT title match at All In between Darby and Jack Perry as an Inferno match?
Oh,
Now that's a decent idea.
They should totally bring that back.
That is a decent idea.
Oh, Cameron Shank has a good question here. Is Steve Sasquatch just Steve Quill? Remember that I brought that other version of me into this universe? And he evolved into Sasquatch? Maybe.
Could be.
John and Alistair Voice says, in order to achieve Ultimo Dragon status as a wrestler, you're able to choose any 3 wrestlers to be your trainers. Who do you choose? I'm going to go one better. We put up this morning our next wrestling quiz challenge over at Friendo Club. And there's a guy who had the longest combined reign with the world title in the oldest wrestling company, CMLL. That man's name is Universo 2000. I don't want to be Ultimo Dragon anymore. I want to be Universo 2000.
That's a great answer.
So the 3 wrestlers I would choose is a Universo 2000. Probably Killer Kowalski, because he trained Triple H and a lot of other top tier wrestlers.
Yeah.
And Samoa Joe. I think he'd be a good trainer.
Good answers. I'm going to say Bryan Danielson.
Great answer. Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, Double J.
Double J would be great.
Yeah, that Samoa Joe pick's a good one. I'll go with Samoa Joe as well.
What would you do if you're in a small class, wrestling class? Jeff Jarrett's there. He's the teacher. It's his class. He has everybody line up. It's 5 people there.
Yeah.
You're last in line, but for the first 4 people, he gives the most heartfelt, genuine pep talk to, talking about how they put so much effort and soul into what they're doing.
All right.
And then he goes over to you and says, hey, Slapnuts, what are you looking at? What would you do?
Give him a stroke.
You're the new teacher.
His finisher. His finishing move. Yes.
Clarify. His
the finisher.
move.
The stroke. Yeah. Yes. That's what I do.
Hey, Slapnuts, you look like you fuck couches.
Oh, my goodness. Nate Cruz here says, who would Larson want to design a shoe for in AEW and or WWE? In AEW, it'd be Okada.
Ooh, right.
And in WWE, imagine if you designed a sneaker for Seth Rollins.
That'd be nice to design something good for. He's got a great fashion sense. Don't get me wrong. His merchandise is terrible, though.
I know. We covered that. Ty Moore asked the commentators in AEW talk too much. Yes.
Dave Matushek says, with TK liking the prospects of a WWE AEW Super Show. Well, he didn't really say that. He said it'd be cool. I don't think it can happen. Who would you want to see booked for it? We're going to push on this one because we have an idea for a video for that. So We'll do that later.
Blake Whitehouse says, next week, should Okada play up his finger being stapled as the most violent thing to have happened in Blood and Guts? That'd be pretty funny.
That was a pretty awesome bit. That was pretty funny.
That was.
C Machine says, hey, guys, in your opinions, who's the best of the acting between Batista, Cena, and The Rock? It's not even close.
Dave. It's not even close.
It's not even close. It's Dave.
It's Dave. Yeah. Dog Authority Figures asked, if you had to book a match that only used one move, what move would it be? And who would be in the match? It's Will Ospreay, it's Samoa Joe, and it's all Kawada kicks.
Worst match. Bathroom break. Bathroom break. I would just do a pile driver match. Just people just pile driving the shit out of each other. But it's all the variations of pile drivers.
Oh, Gotch style, tombstone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Package. Yeah.
Well,
and
who's
it'd be Kevin Owens. You know what? I'd give that one to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
I don't think I've ever seen Sami Zayn do a pile driver before.
Well, there you go. He's going to be at the disadvantage. He's a very creative wrestler, though.
I like my idea better.
All right. Kawada kicks is the worst. That'd be the worst fucking match.
Jimmy Thomas says, with the greater focus being shown in the women's division this year in AEW, with Jennifer Pepperman been the hire of the year in wrestling?
Oh, dude, I don't know about that.
I don't know. It's company wide that the emphasis on stories in AEW, that seems to be an emphasis, and it's across the board. And it's great that the women's division is getting more time and more stories. I mean, there's three stories.
I mean, the bbottom line is it all boils down to what Tony Khan puts on the program.
Yeah, what he greenlights. Yeah.
Kiddo says WWE has War Games, AEW has Blood and Guts. If Action Coast Wrestling were to have their own version of War Games, Blood and Guts, what would we call it?
Action Cage.
Okay, there you go. I got nothing better than that. We can call it Action Cages because, like, well, there's 2 rings but 1 giant cage.
But it's 1 giant cage, so it'd be a singular cage.
Action Cage.
Action Cage.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
What, you got anything better?
No, I don't.
All right, shut up then.
It's very on the spot. Let's see here. Forbes, the last one I got is Forbes says, does Hangman cost Swerve the title at Wembley?
I don't know if they'd want Danielson's win to kind of be because Hangman interferes, you know? If Danielson wins, they want it to be like a moment of him overcoming the odds to win. Not unless he turns heel. I thought about that last night, that after Jarrett's pep talk, if you're going to go all in, go all in.
Yeah.
And then he calls up the EVPs who have beef with Swerve now that he's involved in their story. He turns heel. We end All In with every member of the Elite holding up their titles.
Oh, wow.
Including Danielson now as world champ.
Ooh.
Not that I want to see it, but that'd be pretty ballsy if his last kind of run as a full-time wrestler he did it as a heel.
That'd be kind of crazy. I kind of like that idea. That's good. Like, he's done with his wrestling contract, so he signs like an EVP contract and he joins the Elite.
He signs the contract with the Elite, yeah.
Oh, I kind of like that. That's good. Look at that. Good job. Well done. You earn an earnest talk from Jeff Jarrett. He doesn't just call you slap nuts.
Give him the stroke anyways.
You been looking at my couch? You want to fuck my couch?
Stop bringing that up, man.
Don't stop bringing it up? Okay.
No, got to stop bringing that up.
Fucking hilarious. So.
It is. I don't want to think about that dude.
You got a guy running for office who fuck couches.
Oh, my gosh.
Anyways, that's going to do it for the show today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Till next time, we'll see you later.
Goodbye.